am grateful that you all woke up this morning and decided to come to Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living. For the last few Sundays, Dr. Moira has been talking about the book, This Thing Called You, by Ernest Holmes. It's a wonderful little book. If you haven't gotten it, consider getting it for yourself. When I first reread it recently, I was thinking you could do worse in life by just reading a chapter of this book a week. So we're up to chapters 9 and 10. We're calling it Expressing the Divine Life. Now, when I first looked at this title, I was thinking, expressing the divine life. Ernest Holmes says that expressing the divine life is our profession. It's our business. It's our job to do that. So I'm thinking, yeah, that is what it is. I know that I am created as a unique expression of God. I'm always doing that. Every one of us are always being that. So doesn't that mean that I'm kind of automatically expressing the divine life? And then I thought, maybe not so fast. I'm thinking, just because I know that I am God expressing, does that mean that I feel something so grand as expressing the divine life? So I decided to let that percolate. The very next day, I was listening to the radio. I was in the car, and I listened to this story that was coming on, and it was an interview with the author Stephen King. Now, at this point, I have to tell you that I have never read a Stephen King novel. I've never seen a movie that was adapted from a Stephen King work. I was pretty much a blank slate. Many of the people in first service shared with me that they're big fans, and they know all of the stuff about him that at that moment, I simply didn't know. All I was doing was listening to this interview. And the interviewer was asking him very open-ended questions about character development, about the motivations of the plot, and about the elements of his own life, his own biography that figured in his books. It was a real wide-ranging interview. And I came away from this interview with such an incredible respect for this man's process of doing what he does, of the energy and the passion that he puts into what he does. The radio show ended, and then the radio station went on to the next story, but I had to turn it off because I felt that I had just listened to Stephen King share his divine life and expressing that. And I wanted to sit with the joy that I know that he was feeling as he was doing that. I just needed to sit with that and appreciate that. And I came to believe that joy is part of expressing the divine life. To feel that joy, the kind of joy that when you get up in the morning, that you are excited about the day, that you're ready to get about your business of doing what you do. Ernest Holmes says that we exist to express the divine imagination, the divine passion, the divine fire, the divine feeling. But as we choose how we do that, we don't look to anyone else to do it. We have to express life as it comes to us. We have to find that thing that is uniquely ours. And then he says, never imitate. Well, now, when I read those words in the chapter, I immediately thought of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He so famously talks about how important it is that we be ourselves, be our unique selves, never conform, never copy, but find that nature within us and express that and find that thing to be. And then it seems like he hears us whining, well, wait a minute, I don't think you know about my life. I don't think you know that. I don't feel so divine. I don't feel like I'm expressing that. And he says, no regrets about your life. Don't have any regrets. Take this opportunity to look at the facts of your life from a higher point of view and take that and commune with God. Commune with God and come to a new direction in your life. And this is what we want to do. Emerson says that we should have this passion that comes with our life, that we should take the examples and the emotions that come with our life and sit with that and allow it to be. Now, he also says, Emerson, that we can't make any excuses for our lives, that this is not the time to do that. Now, in our lives, we dress up excuses as stories that we tell ourselves. I became aware of how important the power of a story is last year when I was listening to a talk by Dr. David Alexander. As a young boy, his father abandoned him and his mother, and so this became his life story, the boy whose father abandoned him. And as a young boy, and again as a teenager, and as a young adult, everywhere he went in groups of people, he would find other abandoned boys, and they would share their stories. They supported each other, and they talked about it, and they kept that story alive for each other until he stopped. One day he realized what he was doing, and he stopped. Now, for him, it was a process, but it all started with his decision to just stop. Now, we all tell ourselves stories. All of us do. I really would like to lose weight, but I just can't. I've tried diets, and then I go out with my friends, and we're having fun, and I just don't have any willpower. I need a new car, but I don't have any money. And the job that I'm in, I just don't think it's going to get any better. I don't have the job skills that would enable me to get a better job. I'm so glad I'm employed, but I just don't see ever getting ahead. I'm really tired of hearing myself say I'm tired all the time. And I really think that if I could exercise, I probably would have more energy. But I hate sports, and I don't even know what they do at the gym. If I went, I'd just be so embarrassed if I went. I just can't do that. Those stories are real. And they're true for the people who are telling those stories until they're not. And they're not true when we tell ourselves a different story. When we pull back and look at the facts of our life from a higher point of view. And that is something that we can all do. To discover and learn about that divine within us. Ernest Holmes says that we have to do this in the quiet. We have to do this in solitude. And when we say solitude, we don't just mean the quiet around us, but as important as that is, but also that we keep our own counsel. That we don't go telling everyone what we're doing, but that we allow this to be a secret, that God and I have this secret. And when we do that, we keep that to ourselves. Ernest Holmes says that within every one of us, there is a divine pattern. It is unique to each of us. And he says that pattern is what we want to express. That is the thing that is going to bring us the joy that we're looking for in this life. So when we're quiet and when we take the time to listen, that unique blueprint will call to us that it wants to be built. The Stephen King that I listened to that morning, about whom I knew nothing at that time, I really truly felt that he was living his divine life. And it's easy to say, well, he's a celebrity, he's Stephen King. Why wouldn't he be? But I later discovered that he too is an abandoned boy. His father left his mother and his older brother when he was 2 years old. He witnessed a tremendous tragedy at a very young age. He saw his best friend be hit by a train. He has had addiction problems. He has been in a major accident in the last few years, but withal, he writes. That is what he does. That is what he is made to do. And he says that is his calling. See, we too can find that calling. And if there are stories that we're telling ourselves that get in the way of that calling, we can change the story. So the challenge this week is to take the facts of our life from a higher point of view and know that we are ready to create a new story. A new story that has as its major element that I set my intention to live and express the divine life. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.